بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إذا وقعت الواقعة ليس لوقعتها كاذبة خافضة رافعة إذا رجت الأرض رجا وبست الجبال بسا فكانت هباء منبثا وكنتم أزواجا ثلاثة فأصحاب الميمنة ما أصحاب الميمنة وأصحاب المشأمة ما أصحاب المشأمة والسابقون السابقون أولئك المقربون في جنات النعيم ثلة من الأولين وقليل من الآخرين.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome back to another episode of Connect with the Quran. You're here with Najm Ansari, and today we're going to be looking at Surah waqiah. So, Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah, Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa ahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. So I pray that whatever is being said and heard is going to be of benefit to us. So I'd like to start with just giving you a brief recap, not a recap, more a synopsis of where this surah is going to be taking us. So let's just look at the lessons of what we are going to be looking at when we look at Surah waqiah. So it's when it starts with is a waqatil waqiah, that the accountability is certain. So 90% of the surah is talking about judgment day, what's going to happen to the good guys, the bad guys, and so on. And so for me, okay, let me just give it to you in a nutshell. Accountability is certain, it's inevitable. The consequence in akhirah are cast in iron, that's for sure. Excellence is rewarded, and excellence is rewarded, so strive to be amongst the foremost in faith and the good action. Then there is about avoid disobedience, because that leads you, it's the fate of the people of the left, and it's as a warning against heedlessness. So that is the next passage that it's looking at. And then reflect on creation. And to me, I love this about, we talk about science. There's just so much to reflect on. Any subject you study, whether it's architecture, astronomy, science, biology, zoology, you get these subhanallah moments. Just look at nature and the wonders that they are, whether it's the big fire, water, crops, everything show Allah's power and mercy, and how it's all designed there for us, and we are designed ma khalaqta jinna wal insa illa liya'budun, for Allah. So as Allah has created us to worship Him, He said, I'll make your life really easy. I remember I had a cousin who was doing medicine, so her parents had the whole house geared around her being able to study with pin drop silence. So you enable that. So Allah has enabled the whole world, the whole thing to be, we can make it pliable, moldable, draw, make roads, do something, all the ease with which we can travel to our Hajj and Umrahs and everything. How much ease has been created for us to be then in worship, and we get derailed. Oh, the food was very good, the food wasn't very nice, the mattress was this and the mattress was that, or whatever else. Whereas the whole purpose of making life comfortable is so that your mind is free then to be with Allah and appreciate Allah's things. So that was, sorry, I just went on a bit on the wonders of nature. And then realizing that sustenance and life are in Allah's control, and have that tawakkul. Here I'm saying, I don't know if my next breath is going to come or not, and I'll say all these beautiful, nice things, and yet me, whenever I'm in a crisis, I'm what's going to happen now? What happened there to my tawakkul? That's what, and I like using it in first person to show how we are all human. Nobody is up there, even, we are all experiencing the same emotions. So that's in a nutshell. And Akhirah is for sure. There's no, nothing. The three categories of people now that are mentioned here, and let's just go through these three. And they're the sabiqun. They're the foremost one, closest to Allah, and they're the ones who will be brought closest to Allah. So they're the sabiqun. Then there is the next one is, and they will be nearest to Allah in gardens of bliss. And then there are a number of people from old and a few from later times, implying then the people old were more foremost, and later you're lucky. And that's why there's a hadith that says that even now, if you hold on to your deen, it's like holding on to coal. And it also says Islam came as a stranger, it will leave as a stranger. So here it's very difficult to hold on to your faith, and the few who will, inshallah. And it tells it what's going to happen with them. Then the second one is Ashabul Yameen, the people of the right hand, and they are, and how fortunate are they? So here it's talking about two grades of the people of Jannah. The people of the right hand, and hopefully we make that grade, and then they're the Sabiqun, and we can just strive and work and pray that we get to the Sabiqun too. And it's in Allah's hand, the final call of where we're going to be. And then there's the Ashabul Shimal, the people of the left-hand companions, so the disbelievers, the sinners, and they are how miserable will be. And later on, when we get into the 30th juz, about in the short surah, the one who will receive his record in his right hand, how happy he will be going back to his people, and the one who receives it in his left hand. And there, the irony is that how miserable he'll be. I'm not sure if Allah takes that into consideration, but he says that this guy who receives it in his left hand, in the dunya he was very happy, and he used to go around with his family mocking the good guys and so on. So it's contrasting that the real happiness is going to be when you're there receiving your mind, all of us receiving it in the right hand. And that is really a jolting moment. We think of our exams, our civil service exams, our whatever else fancy exams you want, whether you want to be an astronaut and you have to pass so many exams, or you want to be something else in the foreign service. And so you're so happy and you got a good distinction and everything. Ultimately, it's what our result is going to be in the day of judgment. Okay, so now I just want to draw with you a little bit of how these three categories of people that are mentioned here, it's the best, the good, and the not so, and the baddies. In the Surah Baqarah at the very beginning, they were what I call the good, the bad, and the ugly. It talks about the believers, it talks about the disbelievers, and it talks about the munafiqun. There you have two categories of bad guys and the one category of the believers. So it talks about muttaqeen, it talks about the kafirun, it talks about the munafiqun. This is in Surah Baqarah. In Surah Fatiha, we have also that we want to be anamta alayhim, the path of those you've blessed. So they are the ones that encapsulate both the sabiqun and the ashabul yameen. And in that one. And then when it says ghayril maghdubi alayhim, not those who have earned your anger, this is in Fatiha I'm talking about, is those who earned your wrath. They are Dalin, those are the two which refer to the people ashabul shimal. Okay, so we can say sabiqun, muttaqun, anamta alayhim, from taking it from Surah Waqiah, Surah Baqarah, and Surah Fatiha. These go together. The anamta alayhim and the muttaqun are also shared with the ashabul yameen. Okay, so two categories of Surah Waqiah fall in the category of muttaqin and anamta alayhim, whereas the one category ashabul shimal, which is mentioned in Surah Waqiah, goes together with the ghayril maghdubi, the ones who were rejected, and the kafirun of Surah Baqarah and Surah Fatiha. So those are just good comparisons and to do for yourself to see when Allah mentioned three people here. Oh, the best, the good, and also the baddies. And there it was splitting it up. And then see what is is so essentially each surah is reflecting the same broad category of humanity in different contexts, emphasizing guidance, failure, and accountability in all of those. But it's like, notice these things. Notice when, when you're reading the Quran, it was talking like this now. Now, why has it shifted gear, and now what's it talking about? So that kind of balance you need to, not balance, just interest for yourself of balance in the sense of rote read, by all means rote read. There is enough thawab, enough, it has its own flavor of the energy it will give you and everything else. But really, until we don't understand, until we don't look at the Arabic, where are we going to go? It's just going to be a moment of, wow, blessed are we in that way. In Allah's Mashiach, there's nothing wrong, and there's not that there's nothing wrong. In Allah's Mashiach, anything is possible. So it is, if that intention, that love that we bring to the Quran when we are reading, even if we're not understanding, may Allah accept it 150%, 100, 200%, and maybe the one like me who's reading it without trying to understand it is using so much aql, and their aql becomes their God. Okay, so there is that difference, and especially in Ramadan, I have to finish. There isn't that concept. Yes, the concept of the Sahabis, and they would read one Quran in a month and so on, but it was like that was their life. They had no other distractions. Now when you're cooking and you're doing this and you're doing that and you feel you don't have time, do it at the pace where it's out of love, out of wanting to learn, and not, I just need to get this done. I just need to get this done, and that's it. So that's where I would love the take-home messages to be of, Allah's talking about accountability here. He's talking about akhirah. What am I doing in my kitchen that's going to earn me my akhirah? Feeding my family, it's iftar time, it's this or that. That's what I need to be looking at, instead of, no, I just need to get this done and I need to finish my Quran. That pressure and that stress that we put on ourselves, we then even block out the little bit of thing that we could be thinking, no, I don't have time to look at the translation. No, I don't have time to do this. Beware of those things. Beware, and may Allah guide us to the best possible way of wanting to be connected with the Quran. We'll take a short ad break, and then we'll come back and continue with the surah and another passage of it. So, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فلا أقسم بمواقع النجوم وإنه لقسم لو تعلمون عظيم إنه لقرآن كريم في كتاب مكنون لا يمسه إلا المطهرون تنزيل من رب العالمين أفبهذا الحديث أنتم مدهنون وتجعلون رزقكم أنكم تكذبون فلولا إذا بلغت الحلقوم وأنتم حينئذ تنظرون ونحن أقرب إليه منكم ولكن لا تبصرون.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back. We're looking at Surah Waqiah, which is Surah number 56, and it comes after Surah Rahman. Often we talk about Surah Rahman and Surah Waqiah make a pair, and the topics that run through Surah Rahman are in reverse. They call it mirror imaged in Surah Waqiah. I don't have the details of that. There are plenty of resources out there for you to get into that if that's what interests you more. But again, the baseline always is that what is the take-home lesson that we are getting from connecting with the Quran? What is the wow moment that's for me? It's the wow moments of Subhanallah. That's it. Is a wake up. Forget anything else, any other mode of knowledge of something, the Quran is the best. And we did that in Surah Rahman. Allama al-Quran, khalaqa al-insan, allamahu al-bayan at the very beginning. So that is something. I'm just was looking through at one of the passage on nature, which comes from in the ayahs. If you want, I don't always record them, but it's looking at the ayahs on nature is coming. And I don't have but it is that it is looking at it from ayah 57. It is we who have created you. Then will you not witness the truth? Do you not see that the nutfa, that was how you were created, or are you the creators, or are we the creators? This is 57 to 59, and we have decreed death to be your common lot. Everybody's going to go through it. So this is the beauty. Nobody's exempt from it, whether it's a Firaun, whether it's a poor guy, we're all gonna, and we're not to be frustrated. And then he goes on to, you will certainly know already the first form of creation, so why don't you do فَلَا لَا تَذَكَّرُونَ, why don't you do zikr, why don't you do tasbih of Allah, and so on. And then you see that, see you the seed that you throw in the ground and how it flourishes, it grows. So are you the one who make it grow because you water the plant, or is it we who cause it to grow? And were it our will, we could have crumbled it into dry powder and you would have been left in wonderment. Elsewhere in Surah Mulk it talks about, what if the water disappears in the ground, and then what are you going to do? You're going to be left, bereft. And that's just a beautiful passage on nature. And then it goes on in 71. Do you see the fire which you kindle? Is it you who grow the tree that feeds the fire, or do we grow it? So just going back, it's in Surah Yasin. We also did the fire that you kindle. 90% the fuel used to be from wood, from trees. And not only, even if you look at coal is also pressured carbon created. What is it? It's the fuel. Mineral coal is nothing but wood of prehistoric times, and all of this sort of thing. So after this, Allah and the article of comfort and the convenience for the dead. So whenever it talks about, this is exactly what we say, that the dunya is made for our convenience and comfort. But why? So that then فَسَبِّ بِسْمِ رَبِّكَ الْعَظِيمِ فَسَبِّ بِسْمِ رَبِّكَ الْعَظِيمِ, that in 74, that then praise Allah. It's like even in Izaja, when it says at the end, so then praise Allah. When in Alam Nashra it says the same. Yes, you have hard work, Inna ma'al usri yusra, inna ma'al usri yusra, and then it goes on to say, and so then praise. In your free time, go back. Do what you have to do in the dunya. It's not that you're not doing. In Surah Muzammil it says the same thing about, yes, the day is heavy for you to do lots of work, but at night then you stay up and you want a third, a half, or 2/3 you spend to do with Allah. And we all need to find our own way. It's pointless going to a sheikh and saying, oh, what should I read, or what should I do? The Quran is there. Just read the Quran. Whichever passage really hits you home, stay with that. I love Allahu nuru samawati wal ard, and nurun ala nur. And just now is the time that we are in Ramadan soon, and we're going to be in khalwa, or we're going to be staying up at. Use those moments, but don't even wait for that time. Every moment, Allah's given us the Friday, the morning, before the azan, between the azan and the iqama, and all these times they've given us so many times. Use every moment. Every day is Allah's day. Every day is a special time. So use this, but I'm digressing. What I really wanted to come to was to say, that in ayah 77, when it says that further up, by the setting of the sun, it's taking an oath, and that this indeed is the Quran. Innahu al-Quranul Kareem fi kitabin maknoon. It is a book well guarded, and then la yamassuhu illa al-mutatahharun, and none shall touch it, or none do physically touch it, none do touch it except the clean. So the Mufassir, 90%, I just pray that I don't say anything that is not in line or derails anybody. But the beauty of this is that the ruling is that one shouldn't touch the mushaf, the physical copy of the Quran, without being in a state of ritual purity, the wudu. That is widely accepted across main schools of Islamic jurisprudence. However, there is room for different differing opinions, and not all scholars, mufassir, derive this ruling directly from this ayah. There is from other hadith that we should be in wudu, there is from others. But I'm just bringing to the fore that not everybody used that this ayah is specifically talking about that it's about at the angel level. It's at the Lahi Mahfuz level. That this is talking to, they support that everybody, well, these are the examples of the Mufassir I want to say. Ibn Kathir says the mainstream interpretation that Mutataharun refers to the angels, but notes that it has been extrapolated to encourage physical purity. So we know that when handling the Quran. Qurtubi explains primarily it's talking about the angels and the Lawh Mahfuz, but he'd like to link it to the general purity also. Ibn Razi also, he emphasizes the heavenly aspect of the verse, but does not strongly connect it to the ruling on wudu. So there is a hadith on wudu, and it says that none should touch the Quran except they are pure, the hadith states, and they say there are other evidences for it, and you don't have to bring this as your primary evidence to say, oh, but even in Surah waqiah it says that. Why? And the difference lies whether it's to be interpreted narrowly as just heavenly Quran, or in angels, it's referring to the book that's up there at Lawh Mahfuz, or also the earthly engagement with the Quran. So they acknowledge that the primary situation is there, but we talked also about hadaf, or what is understood or what has to be derived from it. So the reason I bring that up is because many and Allah forgive me if I'm, some people do feel that I have time now, let me look at it, but I don't have time to go and do my wudu. I'm in the middle with my boots, with this or that for me to get my wudu done. But I do want to look at the Quran. So for it to be a forbidden thing, we needn't look at it as a forbidden thing. It is better for you, you will get more blessings out of it, more maybe opening of the mind by just doing wuzu. But for somebody to be sitting in a train and wanting to have a look at their Quran, their mushaf, and not being able to do it because I'm not in wuzu, I think don't use this as a cop-out to stay away from the Quran. You're on your dying bed and you're not in wudu. So what do? Yes, we have the whole fiqh. So I don't want to go into the fiqh at all, and Allah forgive me if I'm stepping on any toes or saying anything inappropriate. But it's just in connecting with the Quran. They also say that it's in your heart. So if I know so many surahs in my heart, so whether it's in wudu or not wudu, whether silently or otherwise, I can be saying it. So there is a lot of not a lot, but it is an issue which I would like to bring to the fore, that this ayah does say they don't touch it, those who are not clean. So, but it is primarily, everybody acknowledges it's talking in first person about the heavenly realms, and it's talking about that. That we extrapolate from that, and we want to emulate all the best people and all the best activities. So yes, we do it with the wudu, and we can also say that even in the time of the Sahaba, and even at the time when water was actually a scarcity, even then, if they were always able to stay in wudu. So I would like to encourage myself in first place and others. Well, if that's a condition, and if you think you're always in the bus or in the train or here or there traveling, ensure you were in wudu before. So make it, and if it breaks, it breaks, and then Allah forgive you if you still want to be reading your whatever you wrote readings that you do. That maybe that's why they've developed these small booklets out of it, of the special surahs or one this, that, and the other. And then they say that it's not essential on some of them that you have it in wudu. But Allah just save me from not getting into anything controversial or saying anything which is not appropriate. But I wanted to bring that, extrapolate from that to always want to be in wudu. The way to always be in wudu is that you make sure you eat decent food and you don't eat food that makes you gas out in and out. So how beautiful it is. The Quran is saying one thing, but how much you can extrapolate to fix your lifestyle, to fix your way of being, to accommodate. And yes, of course, we always like to think, oh, but it doesn't work for me. Oh, it doesn't work for me. But try and more be within mainstream, main deen, and adjust your lifestyle, my style in first person to it to get greater blessings. So with that, I would like to call it a day. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun al mursaleen walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.